Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing very well. I was meaning to create this video since a long time, and now the fact that it's already being created, I'm actually pretty happy because a lot of you might be taking mocks right now, and this video can help you understand how to analyze the mocks. So, I'm going to share the pattern that I followed. You are free to watch more videos. In fact, I would encourage you to watch as many videos as possible so that you know the different ways in which mocks can be analyzed and then choose whatever fits you the best. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to share is that whenever there is a window of mock exercise, which means that you can take a mock on either of the 3 days that your coaching institute is offering you, it is always recommended to take it on the last day. And the simple logic I have is that the solution of these mocks are often shared after everyone has taken it, which means at the end of this 3 days window. So if you've taken the mock on the last day, you will be able to recall the logic that you have used while attempting the mock when you sit to analyze it. Which brings me to the first rule: never analyze your mock immediately after taking it, and also don't keep a gap of more than 24 hours between when you've taken the mock and when you sit to analyze it. The logic behind this is pretty simple, and you're also going to see me repeating this again and again, that you need to remember why you have attempted a particular question, how much time you took to attempt it, and what was the rationale that you used behind choosing a particular option over others, which is why don't keep a gap of more than 24 hours. The next point is totally up to you whether you would want to follow it or not, but let me just share how I used to analyze the mocks. So I followed the same pattern of analyzing the mocks as was attempting the mocks, which means VARC, DILR, and then QA. But within each section, I did not follow the same pattern as I was following while attempting it, which means that when you attempt a section, you would obviously want to go through the questions first and then decide which set you would want to pick up first. But while analyzing, I always started from question number one and moved till end without skipping any question. Now, while you are analyzing the mock or any particular section, the first thing that you need to do is to bifurcate the questions into three parts. Questions that you did not even see while taking the mock. Questions that you saw and you attempted, whether or not you got them correct, that's a separate thing. And questions that you saw, you tried, but you eventually landed up not attempting them. That is, you did not mark an answer for them, but you saw the question. These are the three categories. It's important to divide them because the first parameter that you need to evaluate is how many questions were there that you did not even see in a particular section. This is going to constitute your first takeaway from the mock, and this is a number that you need to minimize going forward. So, in every mock you take, you need to ensure that this number keeps reducing because the more questions you see in a particular mock or in a particular section, the more your chances of attempting easier questions improve. Because there might be a possibility that out of those unseen questions, there were some very easy questions that you were not able to even go through. So that's the first thing you need to work on. And in order to do that, you have to work on two things. First is the time that you spend per question. Because often, if you're not able to see questions, it means that you're probably spending more time on some questions. One way to do that is that while you are taking the mock, keep an eye on the clock. For example, when I used to attempt the questions, I used to keep an eye on the clock when I used to complete one RC. Similarly, one DILR set, and let's say 10 questions of QA. That gave me a rough estimate. And since I was just keeping an eye on the clock, when I used to analyze the mock, I used to reflect back and think, oh, okay, actually, I spent 8 minutes on that RC, or I probably spent 10 minutes on that RC. So it always was there at the back of my mind, which brings me back to the same point that don't keep a gap of more than 24 hours between your analyzing exercise and the mock taking, because otherwise you'll forget all these things. So keep an eye on the clock, that will help you reduce your time spent per question. And the second thing that you can do in order to be able to see more questions is to attempt the right kind of questions first. Because when you analyze the mocks, you get this information as to which questions were easier, medium, and higher difficulty level. And if you are attempting the easier questions first, that will give you more time to see the questions that are probably difficult in nature. But if you start off with a difficult set, you will probably end up spending more time on it, which leads to the first point again, and hence you'll not be able to see the other questions. So to sum it up, the first parameter that you need to minimize is the number of questions that you're not even able to see. After having taken 10 or 12 mocks, please ensure that this number is absolutely zero. There should not be any question that you're not even seeing in a mock. It's very important that you improve your ability to scan through the questions. The second parameter that you need to take a control of is your accuracy rate, and it is generally also measured section wise, which means the number of questions that you got correct over the number of questions that you attempted in a particular section. But please don't include the questions that you got correct by mistake, which means by guessing. Only include the questions that you knew how to solve. Now, it's important for you to note that I said accuracy rate and not the attempt rate is the second most important parameter. Why did I say that? Because the attempt rate depends on a host of factors that are not under your control. For example, the difficulty level. If the mock is of a higher difficulty level, you may get a higher percentile despite attempting only a few questions. So, attempt rate is not the right measure at this point. Another factor that contributes to the attempt rate is the syllabus that you've already covered. If you're just taking the mocks in the initial stage of your preparation, you are obviously not going to be able to attempt as many questions. Hence, the right measure to track right now would be the accuracy rate. An important point that I would like to mention at this moment is to ensure that you do not go through the solutions of only the questions that you've gotten wrong. You also need to go through the solutions of the questions that you've gotten right, because you need to check whether you followed the shortest method, whether you followed the right method to get the right answer. And for the questions that you've gotten wrong, you need to check why did you get it wrong, whether it was a silly mistake, whether it was a conceptual error, or whether you used the wrong formula. Just note what the problem was so that you can correct it going forward. The third kind of questions, which are going to constitute the largest number in your initial mocks, are the unattempted questions, questions that you saw but did not attempt. Now, within that, the first bifurcation comes because of concepts. If you haven't even gone through a particular concept in your coaching institute or in your self preparation, then you should not attempt that question. That's a good decision that you're making by not attempting it. But if you've gone through the concepts, then you further have two choices. If the question is of a higher difficulty level and you're leaving it because of that, then that's a good call, because often the difficult questions may take more time and you may end up not being able to see the other questions. On the other hand, if the question is of an easier level and you're also aware of the concept, then there should be no reason why you're not able to attempt it, and hence that will give you a good ground to prepare for the upcoming mocks. To be honest, this is the best source to find out what are your weaker areas, because if you knew a concept and the question was also either easier or medium difficulty level, then there is no reason why you would not have attempted it. So that will give you some areas that you need to work on before you are ready to take your next mock. So this is one exercise that I used to do. Create a list of my weaker areas and work on them before taking the next mock. Another thing that I did was to go through all the questions. Like I mentioned, you go through the solutions, whether the question was right, wrong, whether you saw it, did not see it, you go through it, and then you read the solution. If you find out any formula or shortcut or trick within the solution, you take a note of it in your formula book. I've already made a video on it. Go through it and see how you can create this. It's important that you revise this formula book after you've noted down these questions. You also need to revise your concepts of the weaker areas. So do both these things after analyzing your mock, which is how your analysis of a mock gets completed. This entire exercise should take you some 2 to 3 good hours, and if you feel like you have gotten used to this exercise, it probably may come down to 1 or 2 hours. By the end of it, I used to do a mock analysis, a thorough mock analysis in less than an hour. So I think you'll get used to this process. This was all I wanted to share about mock analysis. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the comment section. Thanks for watching it.